Hello everyone, this is Soviet Russian Bear. Sorry for my absence, I've been busy lately. So, the poisoning of Navalny, Alexei Navalny, Russian opposition leader, anti-Putin opposition leader. Make no mistake, it is another anti-Russian provocation, despite the enormous efforts and resources spent to organize it, and it ends up with nothing, from a legal point of view, of course. Someone grossly miscalculated by choosing pedantic and law-abiding Germans instead of super cynical Englishmen for the role of the main accusers of our country in this dirty business. They are not able to wrap a pile of crazy assumptions, extremely dubious and clearly rigged evidence in some kind of official investigation, based on the results of which they could issue new ultimatums towards Moscow. The rules do not allow, and stubborn Teutons do not want to violate them even in the name of higher interests. However, this does not mean the end of the story. On the contrary, German law enforcement agencies can't even begin an investigation into the case of poisoning of a prominent Russian opposition leader. The Süddeutsche Zeitung told Germans about this discouraging circumstance with reference to serious sources in the relevant circles. How so? That's how. Herr Navalny, it turns out, is a Russian citizen, in case you didn't know that. His poisoning did not happen on German soil at all. And why did representatives of the local government rush with a claim of poisoning to the Prosecutor General's office of the country before the landing gear of the plane with the super important patient from Omsk touched the ground in Germany? There, they just threw up their hands. There was trouble with the Russian man in Russia. How does that concern us? If the poor fella died in the walls of the Charité hospital, then perhaps there would have been a reason to investigate something there. In the meantime, there is not the slightest legal basis. Frau Merkel, who seems to have been played in these situations like a naive little girl, which is simply unacceptable given her experience as a politician, and I hope you agree. German lawyers, unlike their fellow politicians, did not want to take part in a completely obvious farce, which clearly doesn't them credit. Moreover, as far as we know, the staff of the local prosecutor's office, who still visited him after a miraculous recovery in the hospital, and Navalny directly stated that he had no desire to participate in any investigative actions regarding his precious person. Now, he may have been given the command to change his mind, quote unquote, but what has been said cannot be reversed. What will happen next? The buffoonery, the farce will go on. Several facts do not allow to doubt this even for a moment. Well, at least the statement made not so long ago by the head of the German Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Policy, Norbert Röttgen. This respected parliamentarian, with the most serious look, dared to say that the under-poisoned Navalny should be protected from attempts by the Russian investigative authorities to hold a conversation with him. And why is that? Because Russia in this case does not show intentions to conduct a serious criminal investigations, quote unquote. Herr Röttgen proclaims that today protecting and caring for the health of the opposition leader is top priority. On this basis, he proposes to consider the Russian request for legal assistance problematic, quote unquote. That is, to simply ignore it, as Germany is doing to this day. Ultimately, the German politicians calls for a broad international investigation into the poisoning within the UN or the Council of Europe. That is, Translating this declaration into human language, instead of involving professional investigators and experts, gather a company of bouncers and allow them to broadcast their own delusional versions in the highly likely style, developed from the correct political positions to the whole world. This, in his opinion, should be an objective investigation, quote unquote. If this is not a true clownery, then I don't know what is. From all that is happening now, we can draw a clear conclusion. The forces that launched the special operation of poisoning Navalny in no way intended to allow even the chance that the truth about it will emerge and their plans will be revealed. But they are definitely going to finish the game they started. This is evidenced in particular by the absolutely insane fake released by the Business Insider, a news website that has lost the last drops of self-respect. Believe it or not, the editorial staff there managed to get absolutely stunning information from the most reliable sources in NATO intelligence, quote unquote. If Navalny even steps on the Russian soil, the evil Putin will certainly poison him again. This time probably to death. No, just imagine this picture. Fearless NATO spies are rushing to meet with pen sharks from BI to tell the world about a new terrible danger hanging over the beacon of Russian democracy, Navalny. They are probably making their way through the back alleys, raising their colors according to the laws of the genre and hiding shameless eyes under dark glasses. However, the absolutely schizophrenic nature of the statements of these very sources, diligently voiced by a seemingly solid news outlet, suggests that these are not knights of the cloak and dagger, but the most natural crooks. So, one of them claims the order to kill Navalny was agreed at the highest level, and it is unlikely that this was done without knowledge of the president, Putin. The other two agree that Big Kaput will come to the son of the Russian opposition, quote unquote, as soon as the Nord Stream 2 is completed, and the head of the Kremlin will decide that the greedy and weak West will not be able to punish him, quote unquote. Well, of course, this will happen if Navalny does not calm down and continues to investigate corruption in Putin's inner circle. The third source, which according to Business Insider is not just anyone but a military intelligence officer from NATO headquarters in Brussels, is the most categorical. Navalny is definitely done. You see, he does not know whether Navalny will be killed in Russia right away or will they wait for the right time. However, he is confident that the president of our country considers the West unable to stand up for some dissidents, quote unquote. As a matter of fact, the true background of this concoction, which looks clumsy and primitive even for modern Western propaganda peddlers, is visible a mile away. Navalny must not be allowed to go to Russia, Nord Stream 2 must never be completed, and the Kremlin must be roughly punished. Otherwise, they will poison someone else. I understand that perhaps I use various definitions related to pop culture and circus too often in my narrative, but it is simply impossible to find other words to describe the completely clownish performance that unfolded around this poisoning of the century, like the attempt to nominate the poisoned for the Nobel Peace Prize, which was recently announced by Sergei Yerofeev, a professor at Rutgers University in the US state of New Jersey, on his Facebook page. This brilliant idea immediately dawned on a whole number of professors of universities who study Russia, and now most likely will be supported by international organizations and government officials. Here I do not even presume to comment. There are no decent expressions in my vocabulary for this. But I will limit myself to stating that Navalny would most likely have to fight for the Nobel Peace Prize in these nominations with the Tikhanovskys, a couple of self-proclaimed presidents of Belarus. A worthy company, yeah. All of them should be nominated. Nevertheless, this whole circus pursues purely pragmatic goal: to bring public opinion to the certain steps that the West intends to take, using a completely far-fetched and provocative reason with poisoning. The European Commission is not currently discussing the validity and plausibility of the accusations against Russia, but is actively discussing how to call the new sanctions package against our country: the Navalny Act, similar to the American Magnitsky Act, or is it still not worth it since the victim is still breathing? In the meantime, the British Minister in charge of Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, Dominic Raab, at a meeting with the US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo, admitted that he cannot see a reasonable explanation for the poisoning of the opposition leader. An alternative to it was an operation by the Russian special services, quote-unquote. He cannot or does not want to. Well, it doesn't matter. Mr. Pompeo himself, who had previously stated that there was a high probability that the attempt on Navalny was ordered by high-ranking officials in Moscow, quote-unquote, put it more bluntly the day before. Accordingly to him, the American authorities are ready to respond to the poisoning of the Russian opposition leader proportionately, certainly as proportionate as they decide to. That's what all the fuss is about. Why investigate something if you can continue to blatantly lie, basing all new anti-Russian demarches on this lie? However, here, as they say, there are possible options. It does not seem to reach only Navalny himself, who revels in the attention and fame that has fallen upon him suddenly. Do you know what this person is most concerned about at the moment? About the return of his clothes taken off in the Russian hospital where he was rescued. The victim of the poisoners calls his belongings a piece of very important evidence, quote-unquote, but it is probably something else. The clothes are not from thrift shop and worth a lot of money. Given the reservations of German prosecutors that his death on German territory could give rise to an official investigation and the gloomy forecasts of intelligence officers from NATO, quote-unquote, Mr. Opposition Leader should not worry about his branded rags. Okay guys, this has been Soviet Russian Bear. Peace, love and prosperity to you. If you liked that video, please click the like button, and if you want more videos like this, please click that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. So Soviet Bear out. Bye bye.